Imagine working 3 jobs, hiding your success from your family, and being told you're not good enough, only to shock the entire graduation hall with one powerful moment. That was Emma. And this is just the beginning. Before we get into it, if you love true stories of revenge that leave your jaw on the floor, go ahead and like this post, drop a comment, and subscribe to the channel for more stories, just like this one. Now let me introduce you to Emma, 29 years old, driven, sharp as steel, and quiet as a whisper. Her story isn't just about payback. It's about rising from ashes when the world says you're nothing. It all started when Emma was 17, living in the quiet, sun-faded neighborhood of Blueberry Glen, a place most people forgot existed. The houses were old but neat, lawns trimmed with care, but what happened behind those doors, no one ever really knew. Behind Emma's door, life felt like a constant test she never asked to take. Her parents, Brenda and Doug, had always made it clear who their favorite was. Her younger sister, Amanda, was the golden child, always praised, always pampered. Emma, she was the invisible one, the one told to clean up, the one blamed when Amanda made a mess. Still, Emma didn't complain. She kept her head down, made perfect grades, helped around the house, and even worked weekends at the local diner just to have a little money for herself. She thought maybe, just maybe, if she kept being good, her parents would notice. Maybe they'd care. But then came the final blow. It was a spring afternoon, the kind that smelled like fresh-cut grass and hinted at the summer to come. Emma had just come back from school, clutching her acceptance letter to a top university, full ride, academic merit. Her heart pounded with hope. She burst through the front door. "Mom, Dad, I got in." Brenda barely looked up from her magazine. Doug kept watching the ball game. "That's nice," her mom said flatly. "Put it on the counter." "I got a full scholarship," Emma continued, trying to force excitement into the air. "I mean, I did it. I really—" "You're not going," her father said suddenly, eyes still on the screen. Emma blinked. "What?" Doug turned to her, annoyed. "We can't afford the extras. You'll just have to find something local. Or get a job." "But Amanda," Emma started. That's when Brenda stood up, walked over, and looked Emma dead in the eyes. "Amanda deserves it. You don't." Emma froze. "What does that mean?" "It means," Brenda said with a cold smile, "Amanda has potential. You just try hard. That's different." Emma felt like the floor had dropped out from under her. All the hours she'd studied, all the tears, all the hard work, all of it just dismissed. Amanda, on the other hand, was gifted a brand new car that very same week and a paid apartment near the state college. Emma sat in her room in silence, watching the taillights as Amanda drove away. That night, something inside Emma snapped, not with rage, but with resolve. She didn't yell. She didn't cry in front of them. Instead, she waited. She got a job at the gas station during the early mornings, the diner in the afternoons, and cleaned offices at night. She applied to the same university that had offered her the scholarship, and this time without telling anyone. And when she got accepted again, she didn't say a word. Emma packed her things, slowly over a few weeks. She said she was staying with a friend across town to get some space. Brenda barely nodded. Doug didn't ask where or why. Emma slept in a tiny room she shared with 2 other girls who also worked late shifts. She bought noodles in bulk and wore thrift store clothes. She studied at night while others slept, highlighting textbooks with cracked covers and borrowed pens. She worked. She studied. She rose. By her 3rd year, Emma had saved enough to rent a small studio apartment above a garage near campus. It was musty and cramped, but it was hers. And with her savings and a sharp mind for numbers, she started a business selling handmade planners and productivity tools online. It started small, 1 order a week, maybe 2. But word spread. Emma was smart, and more than that, she was hungry. She understood people, what they needed, what they liked. She packaged her items by hand, added small thank you notes, and soon her tiny online store turned into a full LLC. Still, she told no one. Her parents thought She'd disappeared into some dead-end job or community college. They never called, never asked. Only Amanda sent the occasional selfie from her dorm, flaunting her new boyfriend, her dorm parties, and a different hairstyle every month. Emma didn't respond. She didn't need to. During her senior year, Emma's business exploded. A popular lifestyle influencer featured her product in a video, and within 24 hours, Emma had made more than $700 in sales. That week alone, she cleared $4,000. She reinvested every dime, built her brand, hired 2 part-time college students to help with packaging, and then something happened that she hadn't even dreamed of. Her school announced a business competition for students with startups. The prize? A fully paid mentorship with one of the top Fortune 500 companies, plus a signing bonus job offer after graduation. Emma applied. 3 months later, she was standing in the university auditorium, blinking back tears as her name was announced as the winner. The entire time, she told no one. Not her roommates. Not even her professors. She just worked, quietly, steadily, like a storm brewing in silence. On the day of graduation, Emmy received an email from the university stating that she would also be delivering the valedictorian speech, highest GPA of her class, the same class her parents never believed she belonged in. She wore a plain black dress under her gown, her hair pulled back, no frills, no flash. She stood in line, just another student waiting to walk the stage. And then it happened. The university president stepped up to the mic. Today, we honor not only academic excellence, but the incredible perseverance of one of our brightest minds. She has earned the highest GPA of her class, built a business from scratch that now ships nationwide, and has been selected by the Phoenix Corporation for their elite mentorship and leadership program, with a starting package of $120,000 per year. Emma's name echoed through the auditorium. She stepped forward, calm, poised. The cameras flashed. In the crowd, her parents stood, invited by Amanda, who had come expecting the spotlight to land on her once again. Their faces turned ghostly pale. Their mouths hung open. Emma smiled as she took the mic. But just as she opened her mouth to speak, there was a loud, crashing noise from the back of the auditorium. People turned. Whispers rippled through the air. One of the security guards rushed toward the disturbance. Emma's eyes narrowed. Something wasn't right. The entire room shifted. Heads turned. The clatter had silenced the applause, and Emma's hand gripped the edges of the podium. At the back of the massive auditorium, 2 chairs had been knocked over. A man in a wrinkled blazer staggered sideways, yelling slurred words no one could quite understand. He seemed drunk, his hair messy, shoes untied, waving something in the air. Security swarmed him instantly, but the damage was done. The perfect moment Emma had spent years working toward was cracked open, like a vase with a hidden fracture. And in the middle of it all, her eyes scanned the room and locked onto Amanda. Amanda stood near the middle row, clutching her phone, frozen, her mouth slightly open, eyebrows pulled tight. Brenda and Doug stood beside her, visibly shaken, their skin pale as porcelain. Emma didn't flinch. She adjusted the microphone calmly, waited for security to drag the man out, and once the room settled, she began her speech like nothing had happened. Good morning, faculty, students, friends, and those who said I couldn't. There were chuckles, but her tone was steady. When I started my journey, I was told I didn't deserve this, that some people had potential and others just tried hard. Well, I tried hard enough to build something no one could take from me. The silence in the hall was different now, heavy, emotional. Some students leaned forward. One professor was wiping her eyes. Emma's gaze never moved to her family. Not once. I wasn't given help. I was given doubt. And I used it. I used every moment of silence, every insult, every slammed door, to remind myself of one thing. I am worth something. The crowd erupted in applause. When she walked off the stage, a staff member handed her the job offer from Phoenix Corporation, signed and sealed. She smiled, tucked it into her bag, and left the auditorium without ever once looking back. Outside, the sun was blinding. Her robe clung to her as a light wind picked up. Her 2 roommates came running toward her, shouting and crying. "Emma, why didn't you tell us you were the valedictorian? Or that you owned Organize Her?" "That's your business." Emma nodded. "Yeah, it's mine." "No way," one of them said, shaking her head in disbelief. "You seriously made all that happen by yourself?" She smiled. "Not completely by myself. I had help." They looked confused. Emma tapped her head. "From here, and from every no I ever got." They laughed, but Emma's heart was still racing. That outburst inside, something about it had unsettled her. Later that evening, as the celebration dinners began, Emma received a text from an unknown number. "We need to talk. You can't run from this forever." She stared at the screen. Her fingers tightened around her phone. She deleted the message and blocked the number. Then another message popped up, this time from Amanda. "I didn't know. I swear. But Mom and Dad are freaking out. Can we meet?" Emma hesitated. She had every reason not to. Every memory of being ignored. Every moment they humiliated her. Every Christmas morning when Amanda got gifts and Emma got excuses. Every birthday they forgot. Every dinner they made her clean up while Amanda laughed on the couch. But still, something itched in the back of her mind. She didn't reply. Not yet. Instead, she went home to her apartment, took off her shoes, and sat down at her desk, the same desk where she had built everything. Stacks of planner prototypes still lined the corner. Her latest design samples were drying on the shelf. Her whiteboard had scribbles for her summer launch. She had an empire in the making. She had peace. So why did that message sit in her head like a ticking clock? The next morning, she woke to find her front door stuffed with envelopes. Cards from professors, letters from classmates, and one thick white envelope with no return address. Inside, a single photo. It was of her, as a child, age maybe 7, covered in mud, crying behind the family shed. Her hair was matted. Her knee was scraped. On the back of the photo, in red ink, was one word. Deserved. Emma's breath hitched. She hadn't seen that photo in over 20 years. She didn't even remember it being taken. But the memory? It came flooding back. Amanda had pushed her into the mud. Doug had laughed. Brenda had taken a photo. Emma hadn't thought about that day in years. She remembered the cold of the ground. The shame. How she'd sat outside until the stars came out. She dropped the photo, heart pounding. Her eyes darted around her apartment. She locked the door, pulled down the blinds, checked every room. Nothing seemed out of place. But something was off. Someone had gotten close enough to touch her life, her past, and now they were reaching into her present. Emma knew it then. This wasn't over. Later that night, her phone buzzed again. This time, an unknown number left a voicemail. She played it on speaker. The voice was rough. Male. Familiar. You may have fooled them all. But I remember who you were. I remember what you did. Click. Emma stared at her phone. Then she turned to her laptop, opened her encrypted business dashboard, and changed all her passwords. Every single one. She turned on 2-factor authentication. She messaged her assistant to review all recent orders. She contacted the shipping warehouse to scan for any strange requests or drop-ins. Someone was watching. Someone from the past. Someone who didn't like that Emma had won. She sat at her desk for hours thinking. Not panicking. Thinking. Calculating. Then, just before midnight, she opened a locked file on her laptop. Inside, a folder labeled Emergency. She clicked it open. There were documents, emails, screenshots, bank transfers, photos, evidence. Not against Amanda. Not even Brenda or Doug. But someone else. and it was time they got a visit. Emma stared at the screen. The folder labeled Emergency had been untouched for years. Its contents were tucked away like a fire extinguisher, just in case. But now, everything she feared about the past crawling into her present was happening. And the name on those documents was one she hadn't dared say out loud in over a decade. Uncle Travis, her mom's older brother. He wasn't just a drunk who sometimes showed up to family cookouts. He was worse. Growing up, Emma had always hated the way he stared at her, the way he'd corner her with greasy breath and call her his little shadow. He had no job, no ambition, just a bad temper and a habit of showing up when things were going well for others, only to ruin them. Emma never spoke of it, never told Amanda. Even back then, Amanda wouldn't have believed her. Travis could charm anyone when he wanted something. Brenda always made excuses for him. He's had a hard life, she used to say. Be kind to him. But that wasn't kindness. That was permission. Emma clicked on one of the older PDFs in the folder, an email trail from when she was 17. It showed how Uncle Travis had siphoned nearly $4,000 from an old savings bond Brenda had set up in both her daughters' names. Emma had found the records when trying to apply for college aid. When she confronted her mom about it, Brenda claimed Emma had misunderstood. But she hadn't. That money was gone, moved through a fake consulting firm registered under Travis's name, and her parents had let it happen. Now, with the threatening messages and the photo, it was clear someone had stirred him back up. Emma didn't believe in coincidences. She shut the laptop. No more hiding. No more silence. The next morning, Emma dressed in a crisp blazer, threw her laptop bag over her shoulder, and headed to the law offices of Meacham and Bell, a firm she'd quietly retained during her second year of college. Not just for business support, but for protection, just in case. The receptionist's eyes widened when she walked in. Miss Aldridge, we saw your graduation online. Congrats on valedictorian. Emma gave a warm smile. Thanks, but I'm here on another matter. Can I speak to Marla? Within minutes, she was sitting across from her longtime attorney, Marla Kendrick, a sharp, steel-nerved woman with salt and pepper hair and courtroom fire behind her eyes. I was wondering when this folder would resurface, Marla said, tapping the tablet. Uncle Travis again. Emma nodded. He left a voicemail. Sent a photo from my childhood. Showed up at my graduation. Marla's face hardened. Do you believe he's a threat? I know he is, but I also think he's being used. Marla raised an eyebrow. Used by who? Emma took a deep breath. Amanda. Marla leaned back slowly. That's a serious claim. I know, but I think she feels blindsided by the attention I got. All her life, she's been the one in the spotlight. I think she found out about my success late, maybe through a friend, maybe online. And now that I'm rising, she doesn't know how to handle it. And she'd go as far as unleashing your uncle. Marla asked, skeptical. Emma stared out the window. She wouldn't get her hands dirty, but she might have whispered something to Mom or Dad, and they would have called him. Marla was already scribbling on her notepad. Let's file a restraining order. Whether he's physically stalking or not, the voicemail alone gives us ground. Meanwhile, I'll reach out to a security service, someone discreet. Thanks, Emma said, but I'm not going to hide. What do you mean? I want them to see me. All of them. I want them to know I didn't just survive. I thrived. And they had nothing to do with it. Marla's eyes narrowed thoughtfully. You planning something, Miss Aldridge? Emma gave the faintest smile. Graduation was just the beginning. That afternoon, Emma launched a social media campaign for her business, officially linking her full name to organize her for the first time. Her face, her voice, her story. She posted a professional video that walked through her journey, the struggles of being overlooked, and how she built her brand from scratch. It went viral in less than 24 hours. Emma's inbox exploded with interview requests. News outlets reached out. Podcasts, women in business forums, survivors groups. She wasn't just a valedictorian now. She was a symbol. And that's when the next wave hit. Dud. She got an email from her father 2 days later. No subject line. The message was only 2 lines long. This is getting out of hand. You're embarrassing us. You need to take it all down. Emma laughed when she read it. Embarrassing them? She hadn't even spoken their names publicly. She hadn't dragged them through the mud. She hadn't exposed what they did yet. But still they felt the heat. The weight of her existence was enough to make them sweat. She didn't reply. Instead, she forwarded the email to Marla, who chuckled and said, "Let them stew." But that night, Emma couldn't sleep. Not out of fear, but out of anticipation. Something was building, and she was ready for it. Around 3 a.m., her phone vibrated on the nightstand. One new message. From Amanda. "You think this makes you a hero? You think people won't find out the truth?" No punctuation. No warning. Emma stared at it. Then another followed. "You stole everything from me. Now you're playing victim. I want to meet. Tomorrow. 6 p.m. Our old treehouse." Emma's heart dropped for a second. The treehouse. She hadn't thought about it in years. In the woods behind Blueberry Glen, there was a weather-beaten old fort they used to play in as kids. Doug had built it when Amanda was 5. Emma wasn't even allowed up there unless Amanda said so. She typed slowly. "Fine, but if you bring Travis, I'm leaving." Amanda replied one word. "Alone." Emma closed her phone and packed a small bag with a flashlight, pepper spray, and her phone set to record. By the time she got to the edge of the woods the next evening, the sky was overcast. The wind picked up just enough to rustle the leaves, making the trees whisper things she couldn't quite catch. She climbed the old ladder carefully. The wood creaked beneath her feet. She pulled herself up and Amanda was already there, waiting, arms crossed, eyes cold. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then Amanda said quietly, "Why didn't you just disappear?" Emma stared at her. "Because I was never supposed to disappear." Amanda sneered. "You always wanted attention. Always played the victim." "I wanted to be loved," Emma said flatly. "You just didn't like that I existed." The silence was thick. Then Amanda reached into her coat pocket. Emma's breath caught. Amanda pulled out something and threw it down in front of her. A flash drive. "What's that?" Emma asked slowly. "Proof," Amanda said, "of who you really are." Emma crouched, picked it up, eyes still locked on her sister. Then Amanda smiled. It wasn't kind. It wasn't warm. It was the smile of someone about to throw gasoline on a fire. "You should have stayed in your lane," Amanda whispered. And from below, there was a sound. Footsteps. Then, a voice that made Emma's stomach turn. "Well, well, if it isn't my little shadow." Emma froze. That voice, slick with mockery and rot, cut through the quiet forest air like a blade. Her spine stiffened. The ladder creaked beneath another weight climbing up. Amanda didn't move, didn't even blink. Uncle Travis emerged slowly, his grin spreading like a stain across his unshaven face. His eyes, glassy and dark, zeroed in on Emma with an unsettling familiarity. "Thought you could run off, huh?" he said, pulling himself into the treehouse with a grunt. "Look at you now. Fancy dress, shiny shoes, actin' all high and mighty." Emma backed against the opposite wall of the treehouse, her hand slipping quietly into her coat pocket, fingers gripping the pepper spray she'd brought. Amanda stepped between them casually, like she wasn't disturbed by Travis's sudden arrival, like she expected it. "I told you," Emma said coldly, eyes on Amanda. "If he showed up, I'd walk." "You're not walking anywhere," Amanda muttered. "Not until you hear us out." "Hear you out?" Emma scoffed. "You lured me here. You had him send me threats. You let him humiliate me at graduation. You ambushed me." Amanda's jaw tightened. I didn't tell him to humiliate you. That was his idea. Emma looked to Travis, who chuckled as he leaned against the wall. She just said you were getting a little too big for your britches, he said. Figured you needed reminding where you came from. Emma's hand trembled slightly in her coat, but she kept her expression hard. Where I came from. I remember exactly where I came from. Travis. And you, touch me or try anything, and I swear I'll put you behind bars for everything you did. Amanda rolled her eyes. Please, no one's going to believe you now. Everyone thinks you're this perfect businesswoman. You built your whole image on pain and pity. Emma's voice was low, controlled. You're jealous. Amanda's face cracked with rage. Jealous. I'm the one who deserved the success, not you. I was the star, cheer captain, honors classes. I had everything lined up. But no, you come in with your quiet little act and somehow steal the show. Emma stepped forward slowly. I didn't steal anything. I earned it. You were given everything, Amanda. I was given nothing, and I still made something out of it. Amanda's face twisted. You think you're better than us? Travis pushed off the wall, now clearly irritated. All right, enough of this soap opera. Let's cut to it, girl. We know about the money, the business, the job offer. It's time you cut your family in. Emma's stomach turned. Amanda spoke again, softer now. We just want what's fair. What's fair? Emma said, stepping toward her. Fair would have been Mom and Dad supporting both their daughters. Fair would have been getting my college paid for. Fair would have been someone, anyone, believing in me. But none of you did. Not once. Amanda's lips curled. Well, now we believe in you. Believe you've got a big future, and we want to share. Emma stared between the two of them. Travis looked dead serious now. Amanda's arms were crossed, but her jaw twitched with tension. Is this blackmail? Emma said, because if it is, I hope you brought a lawyer to this treehouse. Don't get cute, Travis growled. You either bring us in, or we start talking. Maybe to your investors. Maybe to the press. We've got stories, girl. Ugly ones. Emma's grip on the pepper spray tightened. She glanced behind Travis, subtly noting the weak point in the wooden railing. And then she made a decision. I don't think you've been keeping up with the news, she said calmly. I've already told the press my story, my struggles, my journey. Amanda flinched slightly. You didn't tell them everything. No, Emma said. I left you all out. To protect you. She pulled the pepper spray from her coat, so quickly neither of them had time to move. With one flick, she hit Travis full in the face. He screamed, hands flying to his eyes, stumbling backward into the rotted railing. Amanda lunged at Emma, but Emma ducked, pushing Amanda aside with a strength she didn't even know she had. Travis, still howling, crashed through the old wooden edge with a loud snap. There was a horrifying moment of silence. Then, the sickening crunch of Travis hitting the forest floor below. Amanda screamed. Emma stood frozen. Leaves rustled below. Travis groaned, clearly hurt but alive. Amanda turned to Emma, eyes wide with terror. What did you do? He came after me, Emma snapped, and I defended myself. Amanda dropped to her knees, trying to peer through the hole in the floor. You have to help me get him up, she said, voice shaking. Emma didn't move. Call an ambulance. You're just going to leave us. Amanda shrieked. Emma stared at her. Like you left me every single time? Amanda looked up at her, truly looked for the first time. The tears on her cheeks weren't from guilt. They were from panic, from losing, from realizing her control was slipping. Emma pulled out her phone and dialed 911. There's been an accident in the woods behind Blueberry Glen, she said. An adult male fell from a treehouse, possibly broken ribs. I need medical assistance and an officer on site. She gave the dispatcher the coordinates calmly and hung up. Amanda's breath came in shallow gasps. You ruined everything, she whispered. No, Emma replied, her voice low. You did that all by yourself. As the sound of sirens echoed faintly through the trees, Emma turned and climbed down the ladder slowly, carefully, with the kind of calm that only comes from years of being underestimated. She didn't look back, but she knew Amanda's world was about to come crashing down, just like Travis. And this was only the beginning. The flashing red and blue lights painted the trees in angry strokes as the ambulance and police vehicles rolled onto the scene. Emma stood at the edge of the woods, arms crossed, her blazer torn slightly at the sleeve. Her face was calm, but her heart was thundering inside her chest. A paramedic rushed past her with a stretcher, another carrying a backboard. Amanda was screaming from the treehouse, her voice panicked, high-pitched, nearly hysterical. He fell. He fell. Travis groaned loudly on the forest floor. One leg twisted unnaturally beneath him, his face red and swollen from the pepper spray. He was trying to speak, but his words came out as nonsense, slurred and broken. A tall officer approached Emma. Are you the one who called this in? Yes, Emma replied evenly. What happened? He showed up, uninvited. He and my sister tried to pressure me into giving them money. When I refused, he got aggressive. I defended myself with non-lethal spray. He stumbled backward and fell. The officer studied her carefully. We'll need to take statements from all three of you, and we'll need you to come down to the station. Emma nodded. I'm happy to cooperate. As she followed the officer to his car, she glanced back one last time. Amanda was still in the treehouse, now being helped down by a second officer. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. For the first time in their lives, Amanda looked small. Not powerful. Not smug. Just small. At the police station, Emma sat calmly in a small interview room. It was cold, sterile, and quiet. The officer, Officer Ramirez, had a steady hand and a neutral expression. You've never had a run-in with law enforcement before, he said, flipping through a folder. No, Emma said. Never had a reason to. And this Travis, he's your uncle? Unfortunately. He scribbled something down. His record shows prior offenses. Assault. Disorderly conduct. He's been on parole since last year. Emma nodded. That doesn't surprise me. Did you know he wasn't supposed to leave his registered county? That made Emma blink. No, I didn't. Ramirez looked up. Your sister brought him here. That's a violation of his parole terms. If she knew, that's aiding and abetting. Depending on what we find on his phone or in messages, this could become a felony. Emma leaned forward. I want a copy of that report. I want everything documented. You'll get it, Ramirez assured her. We'll also be pulling the voicemail from your phone and subpoenaing his. Emma nodded. Her voice didn't tremble. Good. She was released later that evening. No charges filed. No reason to hold her. Everything had been self-defense. Travis was alive in traction and under hospital police watch. Amanda had lawyered up before even reaching the precinct. Emma stepped out into the cool night, taking a long breath of fresh air. Then she smiled. They had made the first move, but now she had the upper hand. By the next morning, Emma's phone was blowing up. News had spread, not about the fall, but about her. Her business video had reached over 2 million views. Dozens of young women had started tagging Organize Her in posts about their own struggles, neglectful families, unsupportive households, similar scars they carried. Emma had become a symbol, not of trauma, of triumph. Her inbox was flooded. The university wanted her to do an alumni spotlight. A morning show requested a guest segment. Phoenix Corporation moved her job start date up and offered to sponsor a book deal if she wanted to write her story. Emma barely had time to sip coffee before her assistant burst into her small office. You're trending on X, she said breathlessly. Not just for business. Everyone's talking about how you protected yourself against a family ambush. That officer gave a full report to a local reporter. "You're being called the blueprint woman." Emma blinked. "The what?" Her assistant laughed. "You're a blueprint for starting from nothing and taking control. One of the articles literally says, if you're raising a daughter, raise her to be like Emma Aldridge." Emma leaned back slowly in her chair, her hands folded together. Years ago, no one said her name with pride. Now, it was echoing across the internet with power. But it wasn't just noise. It was armor. Later that evening, Emma received another message. It was from Brenda. "This has gone far enough. Your sister is under investigation. Your uncle is in the hospital. We're being contacted by journalists. You need to stop this." Emma read it twice. Then she typed out her response. "I'm not stopping anything. You started this when you told me I didn't deserve a future. Now I've built one, and you'll watch me thrive from the sidelines." She hit send, then blocked the number. Still, something gnawed at the edge of her thoughts. Amanda wasn't the kind of person to sit back and let the narrative spin against her. She would try something. She always did. Emma called Marla. "Keep watching her," she said. "I don't want her getting ahead of me again." Marla's voice was crisp. "Already on it. Her lawyer's weak. We've started digging. You'll like what we're finding." Emma smiled, eyes fixed on the window. She could almost hear the rumbling in the distance, the quiet storm Amanda was trying to pull together. A last-ditch effort to reclaim control. But Emma wasn't that same quiet girl anymore. And the next move? That belonged to her. 3 days later, a letter arrived in the mail. No stamp. Hand-delivered. Emma opened it cautiously. Inside was a single photo. It was Amanda, smiling, smug, standing outside a courthouse. On the back, in messy red ink, "Try to keep up." Emma narrowed her eyes. Amanda had gone legal. And war was coming. Emma sat in her apartment, the courthouse photo resting on her desk like a challenge. Amanda's words, "Try to keep up," scratched at the edge of her thoughts like nails on glass. The handwriting, slanted and sloppy, was unmistakably hers. It wasn't just a message. It was a move. Emma pulled up her laptop and opened her encrypted case log with Marla. A new entry had just been added. She clicked it. Subject: Amanda Aldridge, filed civil suit for defamation, invasion of privacy, and emotional distress. Filed in the very courthouse where Amanda had smiled for that smug photo. Emma's eyes didn't widen. Her face didn't fall. She just sat there, reading every word of the scanned document. Amanda was suing her. The suit claimed Emma had used personal family matters for public gain, that her graduation speech defamed the character of family members, and that her viral business video caused Amanda emotional trauma and loss of opportunity due to public humiliation. Emma almost laughed, but this wasn't funny. This was strategic. Amanda wasn't interested in winning the case. She was trying to scare Emma, drag her through legal drama, paint her as a liar in the media and get her to settle. This was the same girl who'd once stolen Emma's science project and presented it as her own in middle school. The same girl who got Emma grounded by framing her for breaking Brenda's favorite vase. The tactics were bigger now, but the spirit was the same. Emma picked up the phone. "Marla," she said, "you saw the filing?" "I did. We'll handle it. But Amanda's not dumb. She's leveraging the public narrative. She's trying to taint your image before it hardens." Emma nodded slowly. "Then we need to beat her at her own game." Marla's voice grew sharper. "What are you thinking?" "I'm thinking it's time to stop playing defense." The next morning, Emma dressed sharply in a navy suit, pinned her hair back, and met with a journalist from the National Ledger. She invited them to her office for an exclusive. The reporter, Daniel, was young and eager but sharp. He sat down, recorder on the table, and asked, "So what made you go public with your story?" Emma looked him in the eye. "Because too many girls like me think silence is the only option. I'm not here to attack anyone. I'm here to remind them that they can succeed without their family's approval. Or love." Daniel leaned forward. And your sister's lawsuit? Care to comment? Emma paused, then calmly replied, "It's disappointing, but not surprising. Some people only believe in family when they can benefit from it." That line hit. Daniel's eyebrows rose. "You want that in the article?" "I insist." By the time the interview hit the front page of the site, it had already been shared across half a dozen platforms. Emma's quote became the headline. "Some people only believe in family when they can benefit from it." Amanda's circle turned quiet. Emma was ready for her next move. She called her assistant. "It's time. Release the launch teaser." The teaser video hit Emma's official business page that night. It showcased her new product line, custom planners for survivors of trauma, abuse, or neglect. It opened with soft piano music, followed by a single sentence on a black screen, built by someone who had to organize her life around pain and turn it into purpose. Sales skyrocketed. The next morning, Emma sat in a cafe near the courthouse. Marla had requested they meet in person. She had something big. "You're going to love this," Marla said, sliding a file across the table. Emma opened it and scanned the top document. Her eyes widened slightly. Amanda had falsified a few details on her lawsuit documents, specifically her income, residence, and emotional distress timeline. Marla's team found social media posts, video clips, and tagged photos that placed Amanda at high-end events during the same time she claimed she was suffering from the fallout of Emma's speech. Emma smirked. "So she lied on a legal form?" "Multiple counts," Marla confirmed. "Enough to file a counterclaim for legal harassment, plus a request for dismissal with prejudice." Emma nodded slowly. "File it." "And one more thing," Marla added, pulling out a small USB drive. "A background trace on Travis's burner phone. The one he used to send you that first voicemail." Emma leaned forward. "The phone was paid for by a prepaid card," Marla said. "Guess who loaded it?" Emma already knew. "Doug," she whispered. "Your father wired funds to the card 3 days before Travis showed up at graduation. And he's been texting Travis regularly for weeks." Emma leaned back, breath catching for a second. Not just Amanda. Her father, maybe even Brenda. All of them. They had tried to knock her down together. But now she had proof. That evening, Emma returned to her apartment and did something she hadn't done in years. She pulled out an old cardboard box from under her bed. It was filled with photos, some happy, most painful. One of Amanda and Emma on bikes. One of Doug holding Amanda, proudly while Emma stood beside them, ignored. One of Brenda looking directly at the camera with eyes as cold as glass. She sifted through them one by one, not out of nostalgia, out of strategy. The world saw Emma as a survivor, but soon they would see the truth about what she had survived from. Her phone buzzed again. Another unknown number. She answered. "Emma Aldridge," said the voice. "Yes. This is Sherry Madison with Morning Daily. We'd like to invite you on for a live interview. Word is, you have a story the world needs to hear." Emma smiled. "You're right. I do." The interview was set for the following week. The day before the live taping, Emma received one more envelope. This time, it was from her parents' lawyer. Inside, a settlement offer. Amanda would drop the lawsuit. They would all issue a joint statement to the press calling it a family misunderstanding. In exchange, Emma would pay $50,000 and agree not to speak about them again in public forums. Emma read it once. Then she ripped it in half. That night, Amanda sent her a final message. "You'll regret this. You don't get to win forever." Emma replied only once. "You're right, but I've won enough already to never need your name again." And the next morning, she walked into the studio, ready, unshaken. The studio lights warmed Emma's face as she stepped onto the set of Morning Daily. Her heels clicked against the polished floor. The makeup team had kept it simple: sharp eyeliner, soft lipstick, a shade of quiet strength. The producers guided her to a sleek white armchair across from the host, Sherry Madison, a seasoned anchor with calm eyes and a voice America trusted. Behind them, the screen displayed Emma's name in bold letters. Emma Aldridge, from neglect to national role model. As the countdown ticked down, 3, 2, 1, the red light on the main camera flicked on. We're live in 3. Sherry leaned in with a warm smile. Emma, thank you for being here. Thank you for having me, Emma replied, her voice steady. Millions of viewers tuned in that morning. And as Sherry opened the interview with soft questions about Emma's business, college journey, and graduation honors, the world leaned in. Emma told the story in simple terms. No sensationalism, no exaggeration. I wasn't given a lot of support growing up, she said, but I was given doubt, and doubt can be a powerful motivator. Sherry nodded thoughtfully. Your speech at graduation went viral. Many people connected with your story, being overlooked, then proving everyone wrong. But some say you've been too quiet about the deeper parts. Is there more you want to say? Emma paused. This was it, the moment she had earned. She turned to the camera. I want people to know this. Being mistreated by your own family doesn't define you. You are not who they say you are. You're who you decide to become. I was told I didn't deserve a future, that I wasn't enough. I worked 3 jobs. I studied alone. I cried alone. I built my business with blistered hands and borrowed laptops. Sherry leaned forward. And what do you say to the people who are now trying to silence you? Emma looked her directly in the eye. I say silence is what let it go on for so long. Not anymore. Gasps and applause followed the segment. Emails flooded the studio. Social media exploded. Hashtag Emma Aldridge trended for the second time in a month. But while the world celebrated her courage, back in Blueberry Glen, chaos unraveled. Amanda's lawsuit collapsed. The judge reviewed Marla's counterclaim and the evidence of falsified statements, inconsistencies in Amanda's claims, and even social media posts proving Amanda had profited off the drama herself, selling anonymous inside interviews to tabloids. The case was thrown out, with prejudice, meaning Amanda could never refile. Emma received the verdict in an email titled, Case Dismissed, Client Cleared, Full Victory. It didn't feel like revenge. It felt like release. Still, that wasn't the only fallout. Doug was now under investigation for assisting Travis in violating parole and tampering with a civil witness. Brenda tried to post a public apology, but comments flooded in accusing her of using Emma's rise for attention. They had tried to rewrite the story, but Emma had already published the truth. Weeks passed. Emma's planner line sold out every restock. She was asked to deliver a TED Talk. A documentary producer reached out for film rights to her story, and for once she had peace. No knocks at the door, no hidden messages, no ghosts. One Friday evening, Emma returned to her apartment after filming a podcast interview. She kicked off her shoes, sat on the couch, and looked out the window at the soft golden light spilling over the skyline. She thought about where she had started. That little room above the garage. Ramen dinners. The feeling of being invisible. Now the world saw her. And more importantly, she saw herself. Her phone buzzed. A message from Marla. Last update, Travis took a plea. He's going back in for violating parole. Amanda's lawyer quit. Your father declined a plea deal. He's facing charges. They're all exactly where they put themselves. Emma didn't smile. She just exhaled. And finally it was done. That weekend, Emma returned to her old neighborhood. Blueberry Glen hadn't changed much. The trees looked smaller now. The sidewalks more cracked. The house she grew up in stood like a memory, faded and hollow. She didn't knock. She didn't need to. Instead, she walked to the woods. The tree house had been torn down, likely by the city after the fall. Nothing remained but broken boards and scattered nails, swallowed by time. She stood there for a long time, just breathing, listening to the wind move through the leaves. Then she reached into her bag and pulled out one of her newest planners. She opened it to the first page. With a pen, she wrote, "You did it. You made it. They were wrong." Then she placed it at the base of the tree, tucked beneath a rock. A message for the girl she used to be. On her way back to her car, a little girl on a pink bike rode past her. She had messy hair and scrapes on her knees. She waved. Emma waved back. Not all girls grow up with kindness, but some grow up and create it for themselves and for others. As Emma drove away from Blueberry Glen for the last time, she didn't look in the rear-view mirror. There was nothing back there worth seeing. Her story was never about revenge. It was about becoming undeniable, and she had